Today we're joined by B-Nick Energy, Boston's own producer with drums that knock, melodies that move. We're talking process, placements, and the hustle. Stay locked in. B-Nick Energy starts now. This program is part of the Scene Project's podcast network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are. Well, welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Starts, and with me today is my brother, B-Nick Energy. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I know you're sneaking in on vacation and getting some work done with me today, so I appreciate it, man.
Hey, anytime.
Well, you're a busy man, producer, podcaster, live streamer. You do a lot of stuff. Before we get into all of that, I'd love to give you the floor here and just let you give us a little bit of backstory.
Well, I also own my own security staffing firm. I do music festivals like Coachella, Lollapalooza, iHeartRadio, Jingle Ball, stuff like that. So music is in my life 24/7. I donated a kidney to my best friend of 23 years to his son. And I'm not going to lie, going through a dark time after music saved my life. As somebody who's a streamer, I am part of a large family in the streaming community called MSL, which is Music Saves Lives. I've been a streamer for about 2.5 years. I started podcasting about 5 months ago and have had a lot of success. And I've loved music since I was a kid. When I was in 4th grade, I started with the violin for 2 years. Then I went on to the saxophone for another 2 years. And then I moved on to the piano in high school, which is probably what makes producing music for other MSL members so easy, because I'm multi-talented with different instruments.
Man, incredibly moving with you donating a kidney to give someone another body part that you may need, right? I think that's the ultimate form of sacrifice. So good on you for that. Incredible story. And we're going to have you back on one of our longer episodes of Get Better Together, another one of our shows. And we're going to dive into that whole thing and how someone is compelled to, that's deeper than friendship. That's family, and to save someone else's life. That's incredible. You're a busy man, and music is not just like part of your life. I would say that music is your whole life, and you found a way to kind of carve out a living and something to do inside of that in so many different ways. Is there a part that's more important to you? Because everything kind of feels like it ties together neatly, but is there one thing that means more than the other ones?
I would have to say, you know what? Of course, I'm gonna say my security staffing firm, right? That's given me my living. Been able to do everything from my daughter, but outside of putting what I make a living aside, I love producing music. It is something I live for. I enjoy when I'm playing around with beats. And then I go to an artist that's in my family who's trying, various artists that are trying to get discovered. And they're like, hey, I like that beat. Can we do something with that? That's that, when it comes together, it's a different type of feeling. It's like that no-hitter feeling.
Right. Of course, you're going to be a big baseball fan from the Boston area. I don't get that feeling as much, right? I'm a campfire strummer. I'm a songwriter myself, but I don't necessarily get that collaborative juice, right? I don't get to kind of create something on my own that I really like and then kind of bring it out to someone else. They listen to it and they're like, I'm going to put some of me into that. Now I get that in a live setting sometimes when I play shows and perform like that, but I'm finding myself more and more kind of jealous of the producers and the, people who have always collaborated with other people in creating music. I'm always kind of been a little bit jealous of bands in that way, but now that I have this show and we've interviewed over 300 artists, and seeing the collaboration between producer and songwriter, or rapper, or whatever you want to call, different singers and different genres of music, I think it's really cool. And I think that it kind of doubles the good feelings that you get, because you're not now just making something for yourself, but you're also making that for that other person and going out into their crowd. And whether there's a bunch of people listening to it, it's just really cool to share that art with someone.
It does. And a big thing I like is when I'll do something on like the computer, I'll put together a beat. And then I love it when I go to, say, somebody who's in the hip hop genre that's part of MSL, and they're like, you know what? I like that, but like, Nick, I like something with some instruments in it. Some people like that instrument sound. And to be able to turn around and put a little piano in it, and then all of a sudden I've now added to a beat that now someone is going to put words to, is an amazing feeling. Or I'm going to play maybe a little bit of violin, put a little bit of, piano in it, and it all comes together. And that's what I really enjoy.
Do you play the violin live on tracks?
I have.
That's sick.
I have. I have added a little bit of violin to some tracks. I've added a little bit of saxophone to some tracks, and definitely piano.
Man, and those are three instruments that I love, that I have never, I mean, I can press the keys on a piano and I can make a few things sound good, but I've never been able to really play that. I play guitar, and I played drums in concert band back in grade school, elementary school. But I've guitar's been my main instrument for a long time now. So really incredible. Those are, they just add so much, especially the saxophone is one of those instruments that nothing else sounds like it. And it always adds something, no matter what genre of music it is, it adds something to whatever that song is. So very, very cool that you're able to not just produce the beat on a keyboard, right, and to add that sound, but to actually add the instrumentation and the playing of that yourself. I think that's really awesome.
You know what? There's so many so many producers that put artificial music in, but you definitely hear the difference between someone who actually, when you hear it enough, you can tell the difference of someone who digitally added it and somebody who's legit playing it.
Yeah, and I'm a live music guy. So I want to hear, people playing instruments. I want to see that when I go out to watch a show. That's what I appreciate, because to me, that shows a dedication that you've had to that. I know from learning my own instrument how hard it is to learn how to play something. So there's an extra level of dedication to someone who's playing a live instrument, whether it be in the studio or live on stage. So I can definitely appreciate the hell out of that, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn the guitar now. Like, that's my next thing.
I'm sure you're going to have no problem figuring it out, dude. If I can figure it out, you surely can. Would love to talk about your streaming platform and kind of that life. You said you've been at it for a few years now. What was kind of the impetus for starting in the streaming world?
So I had just donated my kidney, and I was a dater on Plenty of Fish. Okay. And little enough did I know that Plenty of Fish had added a live streaming section, which they were at the time linked with Meet Me. And Meet Me is where I'm at now. And Meet Me has a very big streaming community. I mean, to the point that they have some gifters that drop $20,000 and $50,000 a month. And like, so I started just for the the whole sake of like having a community while I was getting back on my feet, getting back, you know, in shape and getting my mindset right because, it was rough after and I had some complications. And the live streaming community was really me just looking to put together some friends outside of my friend circle. And it ended up becoming where I never imagined I'd be in the 25 milli club. I'd be in the top 1,000 streamers out of 7 million. And I just built a following that I have now brought to my podcasting career. I got into streaming, like I said, to just have people there, and making people laugh was what I enjoyed. And then music got incorporated. And then I enjoyed having both aspects in the streaming world.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. That something that you dug into a community because you need support now. And I know you've mentioned it several times, the Music Saves Lives group that, now you're helping other people, right? And it became this whole incredible community now. And that's really cool. I don't know that I'd ever heard of the app or this platform before. I'm a little bit older too. So I come from a very real in real life kind of situation. But I love communities and I love meeting new people. So I'm going to have to get on Meet Me and start digging around and hanging out with you and your crew.
You should. I would love it. You would enjoy. There's so many artists and so many people that are amazing artists. Amazing. Like, I mean that. Like, I guess everybody kind of tries to go like the B.O.B. way and how B.O.B. was discovered off MySpace. So many artists are now taking it to the streaming world, and they try to avoid TikTok and Favorited, which are two other, big streaming platforms. And they try to come to the next level of streaming platforms where they can be a musician and people can enjoy that.
That's awesome. So yeah, we don't do much of our stuff live. I record most of our episodes like we're doing today, where I'm producing it live, and I'm doing a poor job of that. Not running my banners and everything, but we started doing a live show every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on our network called Love Noise, where we feature an artist. Mostly they've been guests on the show before, but they're able to come in and share some of their songs. And we talk about the stories behind the songs, and not necessarily just like a conversation like we're having today, where we're just kind of getting to know you a little bit. And in that realm, we're actually playing their music live in the show. And that's been a huge success for us. We're not in the 25 million streams category or anything yet, but we're having a really good time doing it and just spending some time with the artists that we've been getting to know on our show. We're relatively new, especially in the video podcasting space. We've only been at this maybe for 9 months. I've only been podcasting for like 18 months, right? So we're pretty new to this space, and it really just developed completely organically through that. So I love getting introduced to new platforms where we can dip in and kind of share what we do and who we are. And I hate the social media stuff, man. It's such a tough nut to crack with all of these. I mean, we've been able to amass 250,000 views on our YouTube page at this point, but it hasn't turned into a community, right? Like, yes, there's people that see our stuff when they're just grazing by, scrolling away on their phone, but there's not real connections happening there yet. So we're looking to always grow in different areas where we can connect with people, because I think that's where we really do our best work at, is connecting with individuals like you and all of these different artists that that you're working with and that are on Meet Me as well. We can't wait to get over there.
See, and that's my thing. They would love having someone like you over there. But like, to me, that's where I'm at. I like that genuine organic love. And that's what I also like, is I like people who engage. So I do a lot of times use Podbean for my podcast, where I can do a live chat and be able to record it as well. And I love it because there's times that, yes, I only get 5 people, but I've ran chats while I'm live that have had up to 500 viewers. And I try to build as much connection as I can. I try to tell people, leave a comment or talk, or, I like to engage with people. Hey, if there's a topic you want me to cover, just DM me. I'll do it. Like, I'll give you my perspective on it, or we can cover that. So now in my podcasting career, I'm 5 months in having success. I have 2 sponsors. I have my own signature energy drink with Swift Energy. And now I'm trying to bring in different people that I'm now bringing from the music, the podcasting, people that are, psychic mediums, gamers. And I'm trying to bring everybody in so everybody gets some exposure.
Man, that sounds like a blast. And that's a lot of what drove us was that a songwriter myself, but when I released a new song back in February of 24, I had done the local news station and I had done, a couple of the podcasts of friends that I knew, but it was two and the local news. And then like the whole media tour was over. And I realized that there was a huge need for people that were going to promote independent artists. And I became a member around the same time of the Midwest Country Music Organization. And when we went to the awards show, this was just maybe a month after I'd kind of got my microphones and my little Zoom P4 setup. And I was like, well, we're taking them with us and we're going to sit down and we don't know anyone. So how are you going to meet people? Well, you provide value to them, right? You're able to say, hey, come and talk with me for 5 minutes. We're going to put it on our podcast. And we did 25 interviews that night. We made a bunch of friends. Some of them, most of them, all of them are still members that we're friends with today. And then last year at the awards show, or this last April, we won the Content Creator of the Year award from the organization because we serve that community, right? And people saw what impact that was having out there in the world. So this year we were on the red carpet and we did 35 interviews, in that hour and a half.
That's
so
amazing.
It's been thrilling, man. And I'm just an in real life person. That's just how I've lived. I'm 39 years old. Most of my life was not online prior to starting this, video and streaming, podcast in the last 9 months or so. So it was just natural for me. And since then, we've covered Rock the Country Music Festival. We were out at the Buffalo Chip Campground in Sturgis, South Dakota for 10 days shooting content. We got to interview Hall of Famers Rondé Barber and Chris Carter at a PGA Tour event. We have done, we've interviewed Rock and Roll Hall of Famers. We've just and that's mostly because I know how to work live events, right? So where I'm new to the streaming side, I kind of know how to maybe get myself into some pretty cool live events as now media and to be able to cover that. So we've been teaching other people hey man, these are the opportunities that are out there for you as a podcaster that maybe you're not thinking about because you're not thinking of yourself as the media, right? You are no small feat, and you see that you have advertisers and you have, your own energy drink and everything going on that a lot of people in the podcasting world that have been doing it for 10 years have never had. So it's really cool to see the rapid movement that you've had into the media scape and how you're taking advantage of it, man. It's freaking awesome.
Well, I'm waiting for Jingle Ball because I feel like then I will be more comfortable to start doing those I'm always around musicians. That's my business. And I'm always backstage. And I've said hi to people a million times, like Halsey, G-Eazy, or Jelly Roll. I've never thought about interviewing them. Then we just had this conversation the other day. My best friend was like, dude, I Google your podcast, and it's saying you gained significant traction. It's talking about you've hit 2,000 views in a week. He's like, dude, start putting some of the music stars that you're around on. I said, I'm still a little fish. I don't know if they want to talk to me.
And they'd love to. And that, because honestly, they don't, even the big stars don't have enough places to go on and publicize their art anymore, because attention is so divided between all the different social media and all of these areas, that there isn't one point to go through, and you never know when somebody's going to crack and be the thing. So you kind of want to be with as many of those people as you can, because we don't know who's going to be the next big thing at this point. There's really no way to gauge that. So yeah, man, start carrying a little microphone set up with you, and a little camera or something, and just like, hey, Jelly, dude, can I get 3 minutes, man? Come on, because you're already, and that's what's cool about your business, right, is that you're already hanging out with these people backstage, and you have the access that a lot of people dream of, that I have to work pretty hard to sell myself to get. Hell, you're already there. You're just saying, hey man, I got the tripod right here and the dupe here, set up, hit record, and go. Man, you got some. And if you need help, brother, you can hire me on as part of the company. I will come work the event, and we'll just set up and we'll do it all right there at the same time. It'll be perfect.
Listen, I love that. I love that offer. That makes it real easy, because, that's where I get a little nervous, honestly. That's where I get a little nervous.
Yeah, well, and it just comes from a lack of experience is all, right? You haven't done it yet. As soon as you do it a few times, you get in the rhythm. And my big audacious goal is to start 1 million podcasters, because podcasting has changed my life. It's allowed me to talk about the shit in my life that's happened, and to get it off my chest so that I can grow as a human being. And once I realized that, and this was in like December of last year, I was like, oh, you have something way greater than just a show. You have something that's going to change people's lives. And even if it's only you and the person that's on the other side of the camera, like, that's having impact on the world. And then if people start to listen to this and it changes their, like, then so be it, right? But I've never done it for the vanity metrics. I've never done it for necessarily the fans, or to like get fans. I live in a town of 1,000 people, Nick. I'm as famous as someone can ask to be, right? Like, everybody around me knows who I am. I'm not going to say that everyone in the state of South Dakota knows me, but enough people in my industry and around in my world know who I am, because I've been around for 25 years. If I never get any more famous than I am right now, I'm totally okay with that, right? But if we can help other people to get as famous as they want to be, which some people have much bigger goals, they want to sell out stadiums and be touring worldwide. If we can have some kind of impact on their lives in that manner, well, then who am I to stop them, right? Come on the show, talk with us, and see where it goes.
Well, it was like that too, right? Like, that's funny, because I just did a podcast interview literally a week and a half ago. And no lie, I was having complications from the transplant, and I was in the hospital. And I did an interview from my hospital from Podmatch. And I did an interview, and that was one of the questions that came up, was legacy. And I told them straight up, my legacy is my podcast. It is something I wanted now. Okay, my daughter's 18. She's at San Diego State as a freshman. She's going to be a college basketball player. She's on scholarship. That's my baby. But I want her to turn around like she does. And when I'm not around, she listens to my episodes. She'll call me and talk about it. Like, at the end of the day, that's my legacy, was to have a podcast that I could impact people. And I always try to bring two things to every podcast. I try to make people laugh, and I always try to give them something to think about. That's my goal every podcast. And I want my legacy to be my podcast, not my streaming. My business is going to be, my daughter instantly is going to be, but I wanted my individual, at 36 years old, my individual legacy to be my podcast, to be where I bring people on and give them exposure. And hey, if they get huge, awesome. All the power. Do I have a goal to be the next Joe Rogan? Yes. But do I turn around and see that, like, I impact people? That's the most important thing to me.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I tell people that all the time, and that's why I think that everyone should have a podcast, is for that exact reason, right? And everyone's podcast is going to be different. I love doing interviews. I could never just sit here and talk every day. You know, Bill Burr just sits there and does a monologue every day. Like, that's not me. I love meeting new people, right? All the times that I was, you know, a vagabond hitchhiking around the West Coast, and like, it was because I wanted to meet new people. And why I still enjoy busking when I get a chance is just being on the street and performing myself. And it's not about the money, it's about the connection that I'm able to make with people, the smile that you get, or the conversation that you have because of that. And yeah, exactly. My podcast is my legacy, brother. We've interviewed over 300 artists on our show in the last 18 months. We have had on, you know, we support nonprofits. You see the banner behind me for Operation Combating Veteran Suicide. What impact are we going to have on the world around us? And for me, and obviously for you now as well, and you're seeing it, is that the greatest impact I can have is literally just by rolling the camera, having some conversations, sharing a little bit of our story, getting other people to share their story, and then laying that out there for the world. And are we to the Joe Rogan level yet? Hell no, but we've only just started, right? I mean, it took him
Exactly.
10 years to really get to the point where he felt like it was something. And you're talking about someone who already had a significant amount of fame before they ever started doing it. So for guys like us that are literal no ones, right? Like, you know, it's going to take us a long time of doing that. But look at what you've achieved in your streaming world already. Like, you're going to do so much good for people and change people's lives just by having conversations with others, man. It's so cool.
See, and that's what I love. Like, I love that I do have that impact. And you say my like the one-on-ones. Listen, I do that once in a while where my co-host is a DJ. The other Nick is a DJ from Southern California. Sometimes he can't be around to do an episode. So I fly solo and I may not be able to have a guest that day, but I will still pump out an hour episode with emotion change, tone change, and I will talk about things going on and my perspectives, and I will still keep my audience hanging on because I'm fortunate enough to be one of those content creators. And I had this conversation with my daughter the other day, and my mother, is that I am one of those content creators that if I put out more episodes, people do watch them more. If there's some people that if they put them out too many, they get oversaturated and people don't, you know what I mean? They start losing people. But I'm fortunate enough that I have people who follow me that if I drop 3 episodes, 3 straight days, they will watch each new episode.
Yeah, they're invested in you and what you have to say and what you bring to the table, and they just can't get enough of that B Nick energy.
Yes, sir. And like I said, I try to make it relatable. I talk about, mental health. And I mean, I bring on, like I said, a big TikTok psychic, and I bring on musicians and gamers. And you know what? Because I feel like my audience has became so many content creators, and so many content creators that people that are average that don't know this world that want to get into this world. So I try to talk about content creating a fair amount so people know, like, yeah, anybody can do it. Just what kind of content creator do you want to be?
Right. And what are you passionate about? I think that's really where it stems from, is that can you don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but you do have to be passionate about what you're talking about. And that's why I started in music, because that's where I knew a bunch of people. And that's what I was passionate about, was independent music. And it wasn't because I looked at the industry and was like, there's not enough of this show, so I'm going to do this. Like, no, it's what I'm passionate about to do. And then I just like meeting interesting people. So it just was a perfect fit for me. I've really enjoyed everything that I've gotten to do from it. And I would love to be a guest on your show sometime and get to be on the other side of the microphone, as it were.
Anytime you are ready, you can come on. I mean, you, like I said, you're a person that brings value, that can reach out to other people that I may not be able to reach out to or relate to better with, songwriting, live performing. That's not my thing, but that is a lot of what my followers do. They are a lot of up and coming artists that, are out there, trying to figure out as a live music player what they should do. As a songwriter, what should they do? And those are things that I can give broad advice on, but I can't help them like someone like you could help them. You bring a different type of value, which is awesome.
And the same to you, and that's exactly what every single person brings to the table, and why podcasts are changing the world, man. I say it all the time. This is how God is healing the universe, right? This is how us all telling our story to one another in a real conversation is so much better than the 30-second clips that you get fed on social media, or that you're getting when you watch any of the news. I don't know if anyone watches network news anymore, but it's just a crap way to communicate. And this is how it's done, brother. Go ahead and plug everything. Make sure you plug the podcast so people can follow you there, and any of your social media stuff. And I'll let you get out of here.
Listen, you guys can find me on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. It's two Nicks, one cup. You can find me on Instagram. That's lowercase b Nick Energy underscore 2025. Those are how you can always find me.
Awesome, man. Well, a great conversation. I appreciate some of your time of your vacation, and thank you for being part of the scene.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.